Hey guys, and welcome to the video. So, calorie counting has become very popular over the last few years and touted as an alternative to the normal diet culture because it goes back to the science around weight loss. So knowing how many calories you are consuming and how many calories you are burning. So the idea is that because you are following the science, it is better. However, although it does help in the short term, in this video, I'm going to go over why using apps like MyFitnessPal, which is a popular calorie counting app, just doesn't work long term for sustainable weight loss. So let's get into the video. Oh, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving you a link to my free food structure guide, which is a better way of eating than calorie counting, and also giving you an opportunity to join my free anti-binge eating group, how to get over binge eating just for women. So stick around to the end for that. So first off, just a little recap of how weight loss works. So the weight loss principle is that you need to eat fewer calories than your body needs to lose weight, to lose fat. And we call that a calorie deficit. So eating fewer calories than your body needs. And that can be represented by a glass. So if we think about the glass being the amount of calories that your body needs per day. So to function normally, you need to fill this glass up. I'm not going to fill it up with anything. I've done this before with water and made a big mess, but imagine that's full, right? And that's how many calories your body needs to just maintain its weight. Now, what happens if you eat more than that? It overflows and it has to go somewhere. So you store it as fat, right? And if you eat less than that, you need to get that from somewhere. So it takes it from fat and you lose weight, okay? So that's how weight loss works. And a lot of people kind of think about exercise when they are dieting. So how exercise works is you just have a bigger glass. So if you imagine this is how many you needed to maintain your weight before, and you tip it into this glass, it's then in a negative. So because you are expending more energy, you will then lose more energy because it needs to fill it up to the top, remember? So where does that come from? It has to come from somewhere. It then comes from your body fat. So that's how you can lose weight, by doing more activity. And as I've recommended before, the best thing to do is a bit of both. So you're not having to do too much exercise and you're not having to cut too much food out of your diet. So the happy medium in between. So that's all there is to it. It's just eating less than your body needs. What your body needs is defined by a few things, but including how much movement you do in the day. And if we think about that glass, the size of the glass, so the bigger the glass, the more you need, so the easier it is to actually be in that calorie deficit by doing more movement over your day. And when we look at all commercial diets out there, they are trying to achieve this calorie deficit, but just in a different way. So thinking about what different diets do, cutting out carbs, counting points, counting sins, fasting, weighing food, they're all trying to achieve the same thing, and it's all trying to reduce your calories in a different way. They always say their way is the best. However, in actual fact, probably they're all too similar, because the similarity between them is they are all quite unsustainable. And because of this restrictive nature in a lot of diets, personal trainers and people in the fitness industry migrated to using calorie counting as a better way, because it brings it back to the science of weight loss, because reducing your calories, counting calories kind of comes together. And a popular way of doing that is counting the calories in the app called MyFitnessPal, which is a calorie counting app. And just a little side note of where calorie counting actually came from. So in certain sports where you have to be a certain weight, or you have to be quite extreme with your approach to reach a goal by a certain time, calorie counting was a benefit because you can be very precise. However, the note on this is that people doing this, they weren't doing it or aren't doing it year round. They're doing it in a lead up to their competition. But it trickled down into the fitness industry and people started using it to basically lose weight and passing on to their clients. Now, keeping this in mind, what this is, and even the elite people don't do it year round, people that are not elite athletes are expected now to be following calorie counting in apps like MyFitnessPal and be doing it year round for the rest of their lives to maintain or reach their fat loss goals. So just a quick little intro of what MyFitnessPal is. So it's basically an app where you can log calories. You do this by looking on food labels online or working out the calories yourself. And in principle, it gives you certainty around how much you are eating. And if you stop losing weight, it gives you some ideas of what to change, because you know how many calories you are consuming, so you can tweak the amount you are eating to get better weight loss results. And another advantage is that you can include treat foods and be very aware how they fit into your calorie needs. And the idea is you don't feel guilty because they're actually fitting into what you're allowed and you're not just eating it on top of what you're allowed. So it helps with that mindset. And that's the idea anyway. And like I said, in principle, this works great for weight loss. However, like a lot of other dieting methods, it only works while sticking to it. And sticking to it is the problem with counting calories in MyFitnessPal. So now I just like to go through a few reasons why I feel the MyFitnessPal app is not good for long-term weight loss. And just as another side note, I used MyFitnessPal for over 5 years to control my weight. So I'm fully aware of how it works and also the psychological effects of counting calories for so long and how it can affect your mental health and everything like that as well. And you can see my full video of how it affected me up there somewhere. So the biggest thing with any nutritional system or method is it cannot be difficult and stressful to follow. Otherwise, it becomes very black and white. So what I mean by that is you do it when you can, but when you can't, you don't do it at all. So it's that perfectionism mindset. So while I can be perfect and follow it perfect, I do it. And when I can't, I don't do anything. I go back to how I was eating before. And so it's this on the diet, off the diet mindset that is created by doing this. So the idea of counting calories in MyFitnessPal is great, but what happens when you can't? You don't have anything to fall back on other than your old way of eating. So what happens when you can't log the calories? What happens when you can't weigh your food? So maybe you're in a restaurant, maybe you're in a friend's house, maybe you're out and about on the streets. What happens when you can't do this? Maybe you're on holiday. What happens when you can't do it? You end up not doing it at all. And my clients have laughed at me when we've talked about what they've previously done around calorie counting and going on holiday, for example. They want the time off when they're on holiday. They don't want to be thinking about logging everything we're eating. And this just comes back to the sustainability of it. So there's always going to be a time when you can't do it, even if at the moment when you're starting, you're telling yourself you're going to be perfect and always follow it. And even when you're at home, what happens if you're tired? What happens if you've had a stressful day? Or what happens if you just can't be bothered? There's always going to be one of those days. And it's in these cases that you just can't bring yourself to do it. That emotional cup is almost full. And even though in principle it's a few minutes, these little few minutes add up and it pushes you over the edge. You just don't want to do it. So as simple as it may sound to just log everything you eat and drink into an app, life gets in the way and it all adds up. So it does become unsustainable in the long term. And the question also comes up of, can you truthfully see yourself doing this day in, day out for the rest of your life? Because if not, then it's not going to work for you. You need an easier way to judge portion sizes of your food, because it has to be long term. Because as you know, as soon as you stop doing it, you have nothing to fall back on other than your old way of eating. So the second thing is that calorie counting in MyFitnessPal is an easy way to cover up emotional eating problems to yourself. So it's easy to fit in more junk food because you know how many calories you need, and you can manipulate your diet to be able to eat more of that junk food. So I used to do this. I used to eat a lot more vegetables, really bulky things to fill me up, and save up loads of calories to be able to eat junk food. And also as well, fasting to save up calories to eat more junk food. Even 24 and 36 hour fast, so there'd be more calories available to eat in one go. And especially around events like Christmas and Easter, where I knew there was going to be loads of food and I just wanted to release and let go. But that's the problem. why do you need to do that? Why can you not enjoy it sustainably or in moderation? MyFitnessPal also incentivizes, in my opinion, in a negative way, exercise, because when it gives you your calorie allowance, it gives it without your movement for the day. So as you go through your day and you're doing movement, of course, this can be positive, but you're seeing your calorie allowance go up. So the more exercise or movement you do, the more you're allowed to eat. So this links back into what I said before. If you are sort of emotionally eating, it pushes you to do more, to earn more food, which is a negative mindset around food. If you have emotional and binge eating problems, then you can quite often get away with calorie counting and not put on too much weight because of the manipulation around food and exercise you can do. But this doesn't take away the stress of thinking about food, planning about food, or planning food, and just the whole like mental side of it. That is the problem that so many people face with the binge eating and the guilt as well. And I used to suffer with this. So I didn't gain loads of weight, but it's what was going up on here, in here, thinking about the food. When would I eat? What would I eat? And then sort of feeling so full after eating a load of junk food within the calories I'd allowed myself, but just didn't really enjoy it. But it was driven by that emotional eating, which it creates that stress and the feeling about yourself that you just don't want. And of course, just because you can eat more treats and junk food by counting calories within your calorie target doesn't mean you should, right? Because it's there to show you how many calories you need. But of course, there's the nutrients and the health side of it as well. So within that calorie target, you need to be getting enough nutrients for your body, not just fitting in as much junk food as you can, which is what some people can go down their route. So number 3, going into the psychology a bit, being super precise with something like calorie counting in MyFitnessPal can amplify the fear and precision mindset, which makes you focus on bad outcomes. And so just let me explain that. So if I get a ball and say, I'm going to throw this ball to you, and if you don't catch it, you're going to fall through a trap door and plummet to your death, what are you going to be focused on? Catching the ball or all the bad things? You can be focused on not catching it, right? And what's going to happen if it goes wrong. And that takes your mindset off actually catching the ball and focuses on everything that can go wrong. Am I going to die? Oh my God, this is such an important thing to do. I must get this right. Focus, but you're focused on the bad stuff, not the good stuff. Whereas if I just said, catch this ball, nothing will happen. There's much more chance it will be fine, right? And you'll focus on actually doing it because there's no risk around it. And there's another nice analogy that I like to use to explain this called the plank analogy. So if you imagine a plank of wood along the floor, so let's say it's about 2 feet wide and 3 meters long, and I say to you, I bet you £100 you cannot walk across this plank, and you say, easy. And what do? You stand on one side, you look towards the other side, you walk across and say, there we go, money please. And then if I say, okay, now we'll raise this plank up 100 meters in the air between 2 buildings, and I want you to do the same task and give you the same bet. Now you'll be like, oh, it's a bit harder. What if I fall? What if I wobble? What if I die? This is really dangerous. What if? So it's exactly the same task. It's walking along a plank. All we've done is made you need to be more precise with it and increase the risk. And so it's exactly the same task, like I said. All we've done is make you need to be more precise with what you're doing. And this makes you focus rather than on walking across and looking at the other side, but on everything that can go wrong. So looking down, what if you wobble, what if you fall? And what you focus on, you get more of. So the same with calorie counting. So when you make it super precise, you're not focused on just breezing through life. You're focused on, oh, am I doing it right? Is it working? All these kind of things. Am I reaching the right numbers? Have I put enough numbers in today? All those kind of things. You're focused on like it going wrong and all the stuff that the precision does to take your mind off actually moving forward and just doing it. So I hope that kind of makes sense because it's super important to understand that. Making something super precise So the plank, from the floor to raising up 100 meters, you have increased the need for precision, same task, but doing that makes you focus on what you don't want. What if I wobble, what if I fall, rather than focusing on just walking across and doing it. Same with the calories, focusing on going wrong rather than just doing it, and focusing on going wrong and what you don't want often leads to a binge, because those are the things you're trying to avoid as well. And just as a side note, this is what happens to footballers when they take penalties in really high pressure situations, cup finals. In practice, they score them all the time. But in the cup final, the precision is they have one chance and it's riding on so much. So unless they have worked with a psychologist and kind of focus on what they're actually doing and take their mind off what's going to go wrong, they will focus on, oh my God, what if I hit the post? What if we don't win? What if this? What if that? What if I'm a loser? All those kind of things. And that makes them focus on those things. And quite often, you see this all the time, they take bad penalties, things go wrong. And it's because of this focus. So it's super, super important. And number 4, there is a disconnect from your body. So you're giving power to the app of how many calories you can eat. So maybe you haven't eaten all your calories and you're not hungry, but you feel you need to eat them all because that's how many you have been set. Or the opposite, maybe you are hungry, but you've eaten all your calories, but you can't eat any more because the calorie allowance is gone, you've eaten them all. And so we lose touch with our body signals of our hunger. Maybe we do need more because of certain things, like the menstrual cycle, like spending more brain power on studying, things like that. Or maybe super intense exercise rather than just a normal day's walking. And so we need to take this into account. And this has really, really big repercussions when we link this back to the black and white on and off the diet mindset. So on those days where you are off the diet because you just couldn't follow it, you've taught your body, or you taught your mind not to listen to your hunger signals. And so you can just eat when you're not hungry, and you start eating when you're not hungry. And this is a really bad habit to have if you are trying to lose weight. And I used to do this when I used to count calories, especially if it was something like a buffet meal, all you can eat. I'd eat so many plates of the food just because I was so disconnected with my hunger. And my friends would laugh and kind of see it as like a circus act because I could eat so much. But it wasn't really funny because I wasn't enjoying the food and I was eating to being stuffed. And it was just that unconscious kind of, or conscious, unconscious connection of needing to eat and wanting to eat and just trying to satisfy those emotions. So that's a really important point. You do not want to disconnect from your hunger signals, because what happens when you aren't following it? And like I said, that happens in a lot of cases. So you end up making your diet so much worse. And number 5, calorie counting in MyFitnessPal is a very conscious, surface level kind of diet. So very willpower based. And this links back into the problems I said about emotional eating and losing connection with your hunger signals. So you're basically following it because of the need and the desperation to lose weight, and you're willing to put in the effort. But because it is hard, when you do lose some weight and you feel better, you don't feel that motivation anymore. So you lose the motivation to actually go to the lengths of logging all your food, or you might log some of it and you start to slip in your habits. You may have noticed this. Let me know in the comments actually if you've tried calorie counting and you've noticed this kind of thing. So over time, the motivation to actually do it because of the effort goes down, and you slowly transition out of doing it all in one go, and you end up going back to how you were before. And then the problem is you blame it on yourself for not being good enough. And next time, you're going to do it even better. You can control your food even more, maybe even reduce the calories even more, and be even more precise. And of course, this won't work because of what I said about the precision mindset and the plank analogy. The more precise you are, the more it does lead to binging, and that need for certainty and control creates that fear and anxiety, which builds up and then kind of explodes in a binge eating session. So it's that big loop and the paradox of needing to do that, but you definitely do not need to be more precise. So that's it. And just to clarify, there's nothing wrong with calorie counting and the MyFitnessPal app by themselves. It's just what they're used for. So yes, it's fine to count calories for a few days, to be aware of what's in food, to educate yourself of how many calories in certain things if you don't know. But using it for a long-term approach, it's not going to be sustainable because of the reasons I've explained in this video. And I used MyFitnessPal for over 5 years, and I've completely taken it out of my diet. I don't use it at all. And I am fitter, I am stronger, I am leaner, my mental health is better. And so things have moved in a positive direction rather than what people expect, oh, I'm putting less control and less effort into what I'm doing, so I'll go the other way. So what do you do instead? So you need a simple and easy way to portion food that doesn't take any stress, effort, and precision, and that you can do day in, day out in different situations. So you need to be able to look at your plate and think, oh, that's the right amount of protein, that's the right amount of carbohydrate, that's the right amount of fats, that's the right amount of vegetables. And be comfortable doing this without weighing the food, without knowing the precise amount of calories. And this is what takes the stress away. And this is what I do with my clients to get excellent results. This is what I do with myself. And so in the comments, in the description, I have included my free guide around this. I use the hand size portion method. So using your hands as guides to different portions of the fats, carbs, protein, and vegetables. So that's down there if you would like to download it. And also some extra help. If you are a woman, I have my free emotional eating group for women. So in this group, every Wednesday, I do live trainings on how to fix and solve emotional eating problems. So if you'd like to join that, that is down there in the comments as well. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have tried calorie counting, if you have, or if you are doing it now, and what are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I'd like to know. And like as always, subscribe as always, and I'll see you in the next video.